Hey guys, it's Jessica.
And this is Kendra, and you're listening to
Lucid Lab.
We have a little bit of a different kind of episode for you today.
Yeah, we thought we would try something new, but I think you guys will like it.
And that is kind of an extension of what we do with lab reports, but bringing you mini episodes that are even a little bit longer because there's so many stories we want to cover, but now we're finding that they're too long for lab reports, but they're too short for a full episode on its own.
Exactly.
But we still want to talk about them. So that's what this new hybrid episode will be. And we are still coming up with what we might call it.
Yeah, who knows right now? I have no idea, but we're not going to have these on like a schedule or anything. It's going to just be when one of us maybe comes upon one of those stories, or maybe we will change our mind and it will become part of the schedule. Who knows? We never stick to anything.
No, but it is going to be true crime focused.
Yep.
It just allows us a little bit more flexibility to bring you different content.
Yes.
And so we hope you enjoy it.
Yes, and I just want to take a moment to say hello to anyone that's new or more recent or who has been here forever, because we've noticed quite the uptick in listening lately. And so welcome.
And we love it.
We love it. We
Keep
love you.
coming back. Yes. So with that, I will jump into the first episode.
What do you have for us? Because I don't know. I don't think you told me.
I don't think I know yours either.
Okay.
So this will be a story for everyone, including Jessica. So in February of 2023, Hong Kong was shocked and dismayed when one of their well-known socialites, models, and influencers went missing.
Oh.
Just a few days after it was reported she was missing, it was revealed the gruesome fate of what happened to her. Not only had she been kidnapped and brutally murdered, those involved had dismembered her body, and investigators would find parts of her all over a rental home in the suburbs of Hong Kong, including some pieces on a stove in some sort of morbid soup.
Oh, no.
Quickly after this grim discovery, police would arrest 4 people in connection with her death, and they were all previous family members through marriage.
Oh, fuck.
This crime was not committed in a rage or happened suddenly. Instead, it was a meticulous plan set in motion weeks before to make her disappear, and there was clear motive. My story today is about the murder of a beautiful soul, 28-year-old Abby Choi.
I'm sorry, Abby. What, is this jealousy or what? She morally pissed off her family or something?
It's a very fucked up story.
Okay.
And I feel like we do a lot of true crime and we don't get to do a lot of more recent cases. So this one has been in the news quite a bit. I remember seeing it when it happened in February of 2023 because that wasn't that long ago.
No.
2 years now.
Yeah.
And I am happy for us doing this new format so we can talk about some of these newer cases that maybe don't have as many details yet.
Yes.
Because it's still in flight.
Right.
And we're visiting a new part of the world, Hong Kong, China. I don't think we've done any stories from here.
No.
So Abby Choi, she was born in Hong Kong in 1994. I could not find her exact birthday, but she was born into an ordinary middle-class type family. However, a few years after her birth, Abby's mother divorced her biological father and ended up marrying a successful Hong Kong businessman who owned and operated a construction and mining business in mainland China. With this marriage, her mother had more children, giving Abby 2 younger half-sisters. But not only did she gain new siblings, she also gained a new status in life. This marriage would propel her into the upper echelon of Hong Kong society.
Gotcha.
They were very well off, and Abby wanted for nothing from a very young age. Abby was able to live a Nepo baby style of life, attending charity galas, front row seats at fashion shows, living in luxurious apartments, having private drivers, going on amazing trips all over the world. You name it, she had it. And on top of being extremely wealthy, Abby was also gorgeous.
Sounds like she had it all.
She did. As she got into her teenage years, she began modeling and found her voice as an Instagram influencer. She regularly attended the Paris Fashion Week and was featured in several magazines, including Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and Vogue. She began building wealth of her own apart from her rich parents and invested in many real estate ventures within Hong Kong. Now, although this sounds like the perfect formula to create an entitled little monster brat, Abby was not like that at all. She was impossible to hate, even though she was the girl that had it all.
Yeah.
She was described as being extremely likable, coming across to everyone that knew her as a genuine, kind soul. People felt lucky just to be in the same room with her or spend any time next to her. She was described as having a calm and gentle demeanor and voice. Many said she just seemed so down to earth. She always had time for those who stopped her on the streets if they recognized her, asking for a signature or a picture. And she would even allow up-and-coming influencers or video bloggers to talk to her at fashion events. And there was some talk about how she would spend so much time with them. She wouldn't brush them off.
Aww.
She'd be like, no, come inside with me. I want you to see everything that I'm doing. So she was just a really good person. She would respond to almost all comments on her Instagram in person. She didn't have people helping her do that. She never let the fact that she was semi-famous and wealthy go to her head. Abby had more than 100,000 followers on Instagram at the time of her death, which was a somewhat modest following for 2023, but also just in China and Hong Kong, it's not as crazy with the numbers you get like American influencers.
Oh, okay.
So she was still very high up there for their society. Less than 2 weeks before her death, Abby was featured on the cover of fashion and luxury lifestyle magazine L'Officiel Monaco. Also in that issue is an article praising her as a fashion icon who could mix and match pieces in ways that made her a trendsetter. Abby's personal net worth at the time of her death was estimated by some to be around 100 million Hong Kong dollars. Abby also engaged in philanthropy. She co-founded the Payoms charitable organization, which was dedicating to helping stray animals.
Oh, I love that.
I love this. And I want to tell a story to portray just more about who Abby Choi was. There was a stray cat trying to cross a busy road, and it was hit by a car. His front legs were broken, and the cat had been ejected to the side of the road, crying out in pain.
Poor baby.
I know. A well-meaning person walking by saw the cat in pain and rushed them to a local nonprofit organization. The cost to recover this cat was going to be insane, but fortunately, the kind stranger chose the right nonprofit that day. They took the cat to the Payoms charitable organization, and where most nonprofits or vet hospitals would have turned this cat away because the chance of recovery was slim and the cost of surgery high, Abby didn't believe that. She wanted every animal to have a fighting chance, no matter the cost.
Well, that's how you know she was a good person.
I know. So the cat was given surgery, and he did make it through.
Aww.
And they named him Chicha, which means car in Mandarin. But this is the type of person Abby was. With her nonprofit, she made sure that no animal would be turned away. That was the purpose of her nonprofit, and it speaks volumes about her character.
It really does.
It does. She didn't keep the cat. I think it was adopted out to a family, but she wasn't going to turn it away.
She can't keep them all.
She would have 1,000 cats.
I mean, maybe that was the goal eventually.
I would want to keep them all.
Well, someday we'll be Enya.
Yeah, you need a castle if you're going to keep that many.
She was working her way towards it.
I know. But despite all that Abby had going for her, the one decision in life she made at a very young age would change everything. Abby was in love with her high school sweetheart, Alex Kwong.
Aww.
People who knew Abby understood why she would want to marry Alex. Aside from him being her high school sweetheart, he had been one of her closest friends from childhood. They had gone to school together since elementary days.
Oh, that's cute.
They told their parents they were in love and wanted to get married as soon as they graduated at the age of 18.
Oh, wow.
Abby's parents did not want her rushing into marriage so young. And other than her just being really young, Abby's parents and friends were worried because he wasn't in the same social circle as her family.
Yeah.
In Chinese society, this is looked down upon even more so than in America. She was seen as marrying below her status, and there's actually a Chinese name for that because it's so outside of the norms. I did not try to pronounce that, but it's just something so rare that they have a special designation to it.
Oh, well, that's kind of sad.
But Abby didn't buy into social structures. She just wanted to marry the boy she loved.
Yep.
She had money of her own at this point. She's only 18 years old, and she had a net worth of $12 million from her modeling career, being an influencer, and then just making really smart real estate ventures.
She can take care of him.
She didn't care. Whatever money was just money in her head, and she was more than happy to help support Alex Kwong and his entire family.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be with him. What poor Abby didn't know is that she was marrying into a family with some secrets.
Oh, no.
And even the love of her life, Alex, was not completely honest with her about everything. It's so sad as I continue to tell this story because you're going to see, it just felt like she was this naive, sweet soul.
Yeah.
And she was drawn into this wicked web and just taken advantage of.
Oh.
So a little more about the family before I move on. Alex Kwong's father, his name is Cao Kwong. He had been struggling for a while. He was having a hard time finding consistent work, and when he would land a job, he would fuck it up in some way and get fired. He had been struggling for about 5 years at this point, around the time Abby and Alex decided to get married.
Well, they did it anyway, it sounds like, regardless of what her parents thought.
Yes, they're going to get married. But something more about Cal Kwong. He actually used to have a very good career. He was a sheriff at a suburban Hong Kong police department. He seemed like a caring officer, but then one night in 2005, a girl came into the station to report a violent sexual assault crime. Cal was there to listen. He seemed kind, and the girl opened up to him about everything that was going on. He was very patient with her and made sure she could trust him. He gave her hope back in humanity and men after such a violent offense against her, and she trusted him. He assured her that they would do everything they could to bring the men who hurt her to justice.
And then he hurt her?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So a few days later, around 2 a.m. in the morning, this girl got a knock on her door. She saw it was Sheriff Kwong and thought he must have found something. She let him in. She trusted him, and she thought he was coming by to tell her something about the case. But he had something more sinister in mind, and he came into the house, the man that she trusted, and he raped her.
Oh my God.
Now, it's alleged, and he'll say that he didn't, but we know how men in power often abuse women.
Yep.
He was never charged, but they did let him go as sheriff. And when they let him go, apparently there was many other allegations on his record. So this probably wasn't the first time he had done something like this. It makes me mad because he was never arrested. He was never charged. He just lost his job. But it also made it where he was never going to get a job in law enforcement again. So that is why we found him struggling around this time. But now he felt like his luck was changing because his son, Alex, is announcing that he's going to marry Abby Choi. Her parents were multimillionaires. She was a millionaire herself. And he saw this as his ticket to get to the top. So, of course, he was more than happy to push this marriage along, even though they were 18 years old.
It's so frustrating, though, because we see that here, too. They'll just lose their job, but they aren't charged with anything.
It's fucked up.
Yes.
At least there must be something on the record that they can't get hired again, so they can't continue to do it. But it sounds like for Sheriff Kwong, he was doing this for a while. They'd been pushing it under the rug. And then this girl, I guess, screamed loud enough that they finally took it seriously.
Poor girl. She literally had the guts to go to you in the first place. You don't think she's going to not tell on you too?
I don't know. And it didn't say how old she was because she obviously probably wanted to be kept quiet.
Yeah.
But it tells you what kind of man Cal Kwong was.
And Abby didn't know about this?
No, she did not.
Oh.
So Abby and Alex did get married. They had a large ceremony in 2012. And within the first year, they had a baby, a little boy. And then they had a second baby boy. Very quickly, she wanted to start a family.
Yeah.
During the marriage, Abby was the sole supporter, not only of her, Alex, and the kids, but also of his parents. Cal Kwong and his wife and Alex's mother, her name was Jenny Liu. And he had an older brother named Anthony that she also supported. And when I say support, it wasn't a normal lifestyle. She pulled them up from what was at best middle class to socialite status with her in Hong Kong.
Well, she had the Cinderella story when she was young and she was just paying it forward, and that's how she saw it.
I think she just thought it's money, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'll help anybody. And this family, they were living it up. None of them worked.
That's crazy, though.
This story really makes me angry. I'll tell you right now. Life was good for them. But then just 3 short years after they married in 2012, Abby asked for a divorce.
Oh, well.
Now, no one, not even her closest friends, were aware of why she wanted a divorce, but she did, and they separated.
Okay.
Even after the divorce, Abby never spoke poorly of Alex or the entire Kwong family. She sat down with Alex and his parents and his brother. When the divorce happened, she said, we'll bring no lawyers into it, and I have been supporting you, and I will continue to support you.
Oh, wow.
For the sake of the children and because she saw them as family.
Okay.
She bought them a $10 million condo in the exclusive Qatari Hill part of Hong Kong. Now, this is comparable to the Upper East Side of New York City.
Okay.
They had a penthouse-style condo with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Like, this woman
insane
is doing everything for them. She's also sustaining them in a wonderful lifestyle, giving them access to a large amount of spending cash per month. She was beyond generous.
Yes. This is wild.
I know. This story I can't even fathom, but like, she sounds like a saint. Her ex-in-laws, they're now in their late 50s, were not working at all. They're just living off of her. Alex didn't seem to hold on to jobs long either. He preferred the party lifestyle.
Of course he did. Especially if it's getting paid for by your ex. Are you kidding me? Wow.
They're just totally taking everything for granted.
Yes.
And then Alex's brother, Anthony, he was 3 years older than Abby and Alex. He was looking for work. He wanted to work, but he was having a hard time finding something. So Abby heard about this and she offered him a job to work for her as her personal driver and kind of bodyguard.
Oh, wow.
She trusted him. He was part of the family and she needed a driver. So why would she not give him a job?
Yeah.
And on top of that, she paid him very well, like 3 times what a normal driver position would get just because he was part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So this Kwong family, in a matter of 3 years, went from being broke, almost out on the streets, to living the high life, all thanks to the generosity of Abby Choi. Wow. I want this to happen to me.
I know.
To meet Abby. I would be grateful.
This is kind of reminding me of parts of that movie Parasite.
It's funny because in a lot of the headlines, they will call the Kwong family the Parasite family.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just picturing, I don't know, the same personalities.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of gives off the same vibe.
I'm like, did they base that movie off of this story?
I wonder.
Because this happened before.
It was a crazy movie.
It was. So after her divorce, Abby continued to rise up in her modeling career. She was the kind of person that everyone gravitated towards. She just had that light about her. Her best friend was Mocha Fang, who was the wife of a famous Hong Kong actor, Aaron Kwok. She was in all the right circles to be seen, but she still remained down to earth and sweet. During this time, Abby reconnected with another childhood friend of hers, Chris Tam, that she had also known since she was 10 years old. In fact, her, Chris, and Alex, her first husband, had all been like this little trio of friends growing up. But Chris was actually the heir to a large food conglomerate in Hong Kong and very wealthy. His family was estimated to be worth $500 million.
Oh, wow.
So the two reunited, and it seemed like a fairy tale. They ended up in this whirlwind relationship, and they got married in a large ceremony.
Oh, wow.
In 2016.
I've said wow like 5 times in like the last like 20 minutes. But
This
it's
is
just
a wow kind of story.
I know. It's just wild to me that she chooses from the 2 that she knew since she was young.
I know.
She must have one of those personalities where she doesn't really want to maybe meet new men anyway, it sounds like.
If you're really wealthy, I think it's hard to know if they genuinely like you. So she knows these boys liked her just for her from a young age.
When she was a little girl.
That kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And same for this guy, Chris. He's coming from a very wealthy family. It's easier to trust a woman he's known.
And now they have a little bit more in common.
Yes. So they were married in a large ceremony and celebrated, but they never actually legally got married.
Okay.
Neither one of them felt the need to cement it with a legal status, or perhaps based on their individual fortunes, it was easier to just keep it separate.
Oh, yeah. I
Not
can't
involve the law.
imagine how many legal
It would be a lot.
hoops they'd have to jump through with all of that. Yeah.
But in every sense of the word, they were a committed married couple, and they wore rings and presented that way.
And also, once you get married once, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to do it again.
No.
Especially if you're committed.
That's how I feel. I don't want to get married again.
Yeah.
They would go on to have 2 children together. And Chris was an amazing stepfather. He accepted her 2 sons with Alex as his own, and his family took them in and treated them like their own grandchildren. Now, Chris also knew Alex since they were younger, and they all got along. There was no animosity. This is like the dream for an ex-blended family kind of situation. Chris, Alex, and Abby would have dinners together. They would celebrate holidays with the kids, and it just seemed like a really amicable, perfect kind of situation.
Did Alex have the kids at any point? Just himself? Or
He had the children. That's why she put them up in the condo so the kids could have
so
the
he
same
was
lifestyle.
involved.
He was a very involved father.
Okay.
Even though he was partying, I'm sure they probably had like off and on weeks or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
So I didn't see anything about him being a bad father. I think everything was that he was involved, and so was his family.
Yeah.
Many did describe Abby and Chris, though, as true soulmates.
And sometimes that's how it works. You think it's that one.
Yeah.
And you followed that one all this time. But really, it's the one that was standing behind him the whole time or whatever. It's totally a movie.
Yeah, this is a movie. But all of this is leading up to a fateful day, Tuesday, February 21st of 2023. Chris, Abby's new husband, or he's not really new husband at this point. They've been married 7 years. He knew something was wrong when she didn't show up to pick up the kids.
From school?
from school.
Okay.
Even though Abby was wildly rich and she had assistants to do her bidding whenever, when it came to being a mom, she was hands-on and all about it. She would never let other people pick her kids up. She reveled in being there every day to see them come out.
Well, that's awesome.
So when she didn't show up, Chris immediately knew something was up.
Yes.
Additionally, she wouldn't answer her phone and they could not find her car. They realized quickly that no one had heard from her in hours. And they began thinking maybe she was kidnapped for ransom because she was well-known, wealthy socialite Instagram influencer.
Right.
So they did report her missing. And on February 22nd, the next day, a formal police report was published that Abby was missing. It was quickly deduced that she was last seen at 2:15 p.m. in a white long-sleeve sweater, white pants, white shoes, and a white coat, exiting a luxury housing estate at the city's exclusive Kodori Hill. Video captured her on CCTV installed in the luxury building, and it showed she was picked up at that estate by a car driven by her ex-brother-in-law, Anthony Kwong.
Okay.
Which is normal. He worked as her chauffeur.
Yeah, and can I just say that she must have looked awesome?
Yes.
Her outfit, all white. Wow.
I know. And I'll show you pictures of her. She's just the cutest little thing. Like, she's tiny and just has these little angelic features. She's just adorable. So I'm sure she looked amazing.
Yeah.
This is the last time she was seen. So the police held a press conference and they released these pictures and they asked for anyone with any information to come forward. And then Hong Kong police also deployed more than 150 detectives to find out the whereabouts of Abby. So they were on it very quickly.
Okay.
And of course, the first person they would begin looking into, as most cops do, are those closest. And the ex-husband, Alex Kwong, came up real fast on that short list.
Sure.
When the police showed up to question the Kwong family, it seemed real obvious to them that something was off. Their stories weren't matching up and they seemed nervous.
This is frustrating. If they did it, she's paying for all your shit. Or was she about to cut you off?
I don't know. We'll keep going.
Oh, okay.
Make your guesses. They began looking into the family and realized that every single one of them, from Alex to his brother to Cao Kwong and even the mother-in-law, had motive to hurt Abby. It also came up while interviewing the family that right after Abby went missing, around like 4 p.m. that day, Alex called Abby's parents and began yelling at them.
What?
He was so angry that they didn't call him first before they went to the police.
Oh, it's one of those. Okay.
In listening to some of the things about this case, a lot of people believe that he thought that the family would all get together and bring them in, and then they could have probably told a story. But the Choi family was like, no, we're going straight to the police. And
why would we call you?
And why would they call her ex-husband?
That's stupid.
He was very upset that the police were involved so quickly, and that was another red flag. He was stressed out, and the cops were like, something's up.
Yeah, she's missing, idiot.
Like, why would the family not call? And why would they call you before the police?
That's so dumb.
It turns out the entire family was worried they were about to be cut off from their amazing grifter lifestyle.
I figured it had to be that. What would they do?
Yeah. And remember, this family had been struggling. Cao Kwong couldn't find a job. And just 10 years later, it has now been 10 years because she's 28 years old. She's been supporting this family, not even in a modest way. They've been living in the lap of luxury and not through anything that they did on their own.
They just thought that that was going to last forever.
These people make me so mad. And they felt like it wasn't enough because she's continuing to send them money every month. Her ex-husband, Alex, was spending tens of thousands of dollars per month on nights out at the club. He was just blowing it on probably, cocaine and hookers. I don't know. The family just became very entitled, and they thought they needed and deserved more than what Abby was giving them because now she was married to a almost billionaire.
Right.
And why would they not get to rise at the same rate that she did?
Because you don't deserve it and you didn't work for it.
They make me angry. I can't with these people. They began feeling slighted because they all had to share one $10 million condo together while Abby and her new husband lived in a larger home.
You're getting it all for free.
Not a single one of them seemed grateful at all.
That's crazy.
For what she gave them. So I guess greed is just a bitch. I don't know. I don't understand it. I can't identify with these people.
Yeah.
In any way.
I mean, that's why you see celebrities cutting off family members because that's all they are to them, a bank.
And that's how they looked at Abby.
Yeah.
And how dare she, not continue to give them more and more and more.
Right.
It did come out that Abby had wanted to sell their $10 million condo.
As she has the right to do.
But even in selling that, she promised to relocate the family. It's up in the air on why exactly she wanted to sell that property, but many speculate it was because of her investment portfolio. And you know what? She can do whatever the fuck she wants.
Exactly.
She owns it. And the location of the condo may have been a hot time. So I think she was just trying to capitalize on selling it at a good rate.
Because she was a smart business lady.
She was very smart. But the family, the Kwong family, took it as a slight. And they're like, she doesn't need the money. Why does she need to sell our condo? Even though they were already complaining that they didn't like the condo anymore.
It's not good enough.
Many believe that Abby was finally trying to set some boundaries on these vultures that were the Kwong family that had been taking advantage of her. She wasn't going to leave them out in the street, but maybe she was going to try and tamper down their lifestyle. Right. They were getting out of hand. Remember, none of them at this point are working except for Anthony, who is working for Abby, getting paid 3 times what he would anywhere else.
Right.
It's just infuriating to me.
Totally.
Like, where the fuck do these people get off? They said that Abby was being heartless towards them and putting them out, and that she was doing it secretively. There was supposedly, I don't know if I believe anything the Kwongs say, but they claim that she never told them that she was going to sell the apartment, that a realtor just showed up and started measuring.
Well, maybe it's because you take advantage of her, you're rude, you aren't grateful for anything. She doesn't owe you any kindness at this point, it sounds like, either.
No. And their children at this point are 8 and 10 years old. And so maybe she was preparing because the kids were getting older and they didn't need to be around, I guess, that family as much. I don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah,
but
that daily in and out of things either. Yeah.
So with the information that Abby was last seen getting into the car with Anthony Kwong, the investigators were able to obtain the GPS records and track where the car went.
Okay.
And it led them to the suburbs of Hong Kong, to Tai Po Village. And this is when the officers started conducting door-to-door interviews at the village, and they were able to analyze some video footage from local houses, like Ring doorbells, things like that, dash cams on vehicles, and it didn't take them long to find exactly where they should go.
Guys, you got to watch out. You can't do anything these days.
Those Ring doorbells are one of the best things ever as far as like capturing stuff.
Oh, I know that, but I hate them. Like when I'm going on a walk, I'm like, how many Ring doorbells have I been on so far?
Yeah. I have a Ring doorbell.
What was I doing?
And I never look at my Ring doorbell video. So I think the only time you look at it is when. So I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I'm a normal person. Some creepy person might watch people all day long. I don't know.
It's just funny. How many videos are you actually on throughout the day?
Big Brother. Yep. It's there. So Tai Po Village was a very tight-knit community, and they noticed things in these types of places. It was said to be full of Karen types of individuals, and they were very wary of outsiders moving in.
So they wanted to talk.
They were ready to sing like a canary to the police. And they said just 2 weeks ago, they had noticed a middle-aged man going in and out of a house that was just rented, but he never moved furniture in.
No. Is this a Dexter situation then?
Kind of. And the neighbors even would go and peek inside the house when he wasn't there. And they noticed that no renovations were going on, because at first they're like, oh, maybe they're, redoing floors or something. And it was completely empty. They said that when they would wave at the new guy, he wouldn't interact with them or make any eye contact. He just seemed strange.
Yeah.
And then they said he started covering all the windows with black cloths.
Oh, that's not suspicious.
And then they said even the front door, they noticed when he would open it, he put cloth there. So if somebody opened the door, you couldn't see into the house. So
wow.
So they were already speculating in the last 2 weeks that something was going on there, but they thought it was like a brothel or like illegal gambling, or maybe this was a guy that was trying to hide his mistress from his wife, something like that. But all of the neighbors were talking about this, and they pointed to the house, and that's where the cops went. And what they would discover was absolutely horrifying.
Oh.
They walked in through the front door, having to duck in and move the black cloth, blocking the view into the house. And they walked into a completely empty home. Already it felt like bad vibes. It felt like a kill house.
Because it was.
And the Kwongs had not done anything. I think they thought they had more time, but they found all of the evidence they would ever need. There were 2 kinds of meat grinders.
Oh my God.
An electric saw, a hammer.
Oh, poor Abby. This is so horrible.
It's horrifying. Face shields, black raincoats.
How could they do that to her?
This is just pure evil. And then they found a purple Hermes handbag that had Abby's wallet and ID in it. And it was what she was carrying the day she went missing. In the kitchen, on the stove, were 2 stainless steel pots. And the cops knew right away they shouldn't go any further. And they called in the medical examiner. They just had a feeling.
Yep.
They could see enough.
Yeah.
And the meat grinders and everything that they knew something nefarious had happened. The medical examiners came in, and what they found in the pots, there was various pieces of meat floating along with carrots and radishes and seasonings like it was soup. In the second pot, they found a full human head.
Oh my God.
Nightmares.
Absolutely.
The head was badly decomposed. It looked like it had been cooked. And the only way they could confirm it was Abby was through dental records. They also found evidence of a massive blow to her skull, but it was unclear if that is what actually killed her. The other pot, they were able to identify her rib and collarbones along with just other pieces of various flesh.
Oh my God.
In the freezer, they found Abby's feet. In other areas of the house, they found her lower torso and legs.
What the heck?
It's so fucked up. It looked like they had been attempting to cut flesh out of her thighs. I guess their plan was to just cook all of her body. The rest of her upper body, though, was missing, along with her arms and hands.
Oh, okay.
The police were able to obtain records of who was renting the home, and it was none other than Cao Kwong. He was the middle-aged man that all the Karens in the neighborhood had seen coming and going, and he had been preparing this house for this gruesome event for the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God, so fucked up.
So fucked up. So the police began piecing together what they think happened on February 21st. And they believe Anthony was driving her to go pick up her daughter from school. And on the way, they think he probably stopped the car near a tunnel or somewhere. And the back door would open up and Alex would jump out of the car and join Abby. One belief is that they got into an argument, probably about the properties. Others think it was just a pure-on ambush and no argument occurred. It was just wham, bam. He jumped in the car. He hit her over the head and she was incapacitated in the back of the car while Anthony drove them to the suburbs. Abby didn't have any bodyguards with her because she trusted Anthony to act as her bodyguard.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucked up.
Yes.
We don't know if Abby was killed in the car or if it was later at the house. It doesn't really matter, but they did see this car pull into the Tai Po neighborhood at 3:12 p.m. And another car also pulled in at the same time. They suspect that's Cao Kwong joining them. And then they all went inside the house, the 3 men and Abby. And we know what happened at that point. They murdered her and they began to dismember her. It was not believed that the mother-in-law, Jenny, was around for any of this. So it was just the 3 men. Some sources say that neighbors heard screaming the night that Abby went missing, but believed it was just someone watching TV very loudly. Other sources say they didn't hear anything because it was a Karen-type neighborhood, and all of those neighbors probably would have called the cops if they had heard something.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she was probably incapacitated or killed in some way before they took her into the house. That's just my guess. They also caught the car that Cao Kwong was driving, leaving the house at some point in the night and going to a local cemetery.
What?
So police went and searched at that cemetery, believing that perhaps some of the body parts that were missing were taken there and disposed of, but they didn't find anything in the cemetery. They then began searching the landfill for the area, hoping to find her arms and hands, but they were never successful. The largest landfill in Hong Kong was what serviced this area, and they were getting 7 tons of garbage per day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And now, even to this day, we're 2 years later, they've never found the rest of Abby's body, but they had plenty to convict them. It's really important in Chinese society for all of your body to be whole when it's buried.
Yeah.
So I think that was a lot of the reason they spent so much time trying to find every piece of Abby.
Yeah, I understand. Which means they knew that too.
Yeah.
So they were
fuck those guys.
Yeah.
The Kwongs were just evil. Police believe that Cao Kwong was the mastermind behind the attack and killing of Abby. But why him?
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Abby and the Kwong family were supposedly in this dispute over the $10 million condo.
Mm-hmm.
To further complicate things, the house had been bought and put into Cal Kwong's name.
Okay.
But this is something that was done many times by wealthy people buying property for their family members because she was already worth a lot of money and she already owned quite a few properties.
Okay.
And the way it works in Hong Kong is that you pay more taxes if you own more than one property. I think it's probably that way here in the US too. I'm not real sure. Probably not, actually. The US doesn't punish rich people. So anyways, if she had bought this property in her name, she would have had to pay $1.1 million in property taxes. But if she purchased it under someone else's name and it was their first property ever owned, the taxes were only $400,000.
Okay.
So a lot of people believe that's why she put it in Cal Kwong's name. It's not because it was his. It was because she was an investor in many other properties and that was the smart thing to do. She trusted the Kwongs. She never thought they would screw her over. And like I said, this is just a common thing for wealthy families to do in Hong Kong.
So this was all to keep an apartment.
Maybe. There's more to it.
Okay.
But it doesn't actually mean he owned the house, even though his name was on that. They could argue in court that she gifted the house to them, but Abby could easily prove that all of the money for the house mortgage and the expenses on the home over the 10 years had all come from her income.
Right.
So based on Hong Kong law, she would have still owned the property. And when she sold it, she would be the one getting all of the revenue. They would not have gotten one penny, which they didn't deserve.
No.
So perhaps Cal Kwong thought if he killed her before a sale took place, the condo would automatically go to him because his name was on it.
Right.
And then he would be able to keep whatever he sold it for or just keep the house in general. It was also reported when I was doing the research that the house was completely paid off in July of 2019. So it would have been a large sum of money. She bought it for $10 million. It may be worth, I don't know, 12 or 14 at this point.
Okay.
So that's big motive for Cal Kwong to want to kill her.
It is, especially when you feel like you're about to go back to nothing.
Yes. And while Cal was the mastermind, it was very easy for him to get his sons to play along. Abby's ex-husband, Alex, had been a complete leech for 10 years. He spent so much money, like I said, in all of the clubs, and he was also buying hundreds of thousands of dollars in watches over the years. This is all stuff that the cops found out when they were researching this family. And then Anthony was a real interesting character too. He was collecting alcohol, and it wasn't just any kind of alcohol. It was like the aged scotch and like this. And he would take pictures on his Instagram of all the rows of bottles of alcohol in his house. And each bottle was worth like $500 to $1,000. Just stupid. These boys are just spending money on stupid shit.
Yep.
He would also post pictures of him in her Rolls Royce in luxurious parts of town and like make it look like it was his own. He had pictures of him going on wild vacations to Macau. All of this, these two boys were living the dream on Abby Choi's wallet, I guess.
Crazy.
But why would they want to kill Abby? Wouldn't that mean their cash cow would be gone? She was continuing to fund their lifestyle. Even if they got that condo, selling it wouldn't have kept them in the lap of luxury forever. $10 million, $12 million. Hong Kong's it may still be the most expensive city in the world. Like, you would need a steady stream because even if you own a $10 million condo, like you have to keep up everything else. And and if you sold that, where were you going to move to? And like, there's just so many logistics. Like keeping her alive would have made a lot more sense if they wanted to continue to get something.
Right.
But the speculation is the reason they wanted to kill her is because she was not legally married to Chris Tam. That means she would die a single woman and her net worth would be split among her 4 children. 2 of whom she shared with Alex Kwong.
Right.
And they were under the control of the Kwong family still because the oldest was only 10 years old. So if she died, they would have inherited half of Abby's wealth. And I think that's the real motive for them to murder her.
Okay.
They could have kept the condo and gotten half of her money.
But it wouldn't be instantaneous to the family. If it's for a child, wouldn't it go
like in a trust fund? I would think. This family's not the smartest. We're going to find out even more about them. So the police made 3 arrests initially, including Anthony, who was 31 at the time, Cal Kwong, who was 65, and they also arrested the mother-in-law, Jenny Lee, who was 63. They wanted to arrest Alex Kwong as well, but he was nowhere to be found.
Oh.
He was on the run. Anthony and Cal were charged with murder, and the mother-in-law, Jenny, she was arrested for helping a suspect, her son Alex, escape the cops. So she was being held, and they were trying to pump her for information.
Right.
His face was all over the news, and Abby's best friend Mocha stepped up and offered up 1 million Hong Kong dollars for anyone that would lead to Alex's arrest. So he was a wanted man. He didn't run for long. On February 26th, he was found and arrested. He had made arrangements and planned to flee Hong Kong in a speedboat off the pier.
Oh.
They found him in the speedboat with $65,000 in cash and $500,000 in luxury watches.
Yep, he was just going to go start a new life somewhere.
I guess so. When they arrested Alex, he told the police he wasn't feeling well and he needed to go to the hospital.
Okay.
He knew his world was crashing down on him. But that didn't stop anything. They may have let him go into the hospital. He was fine. And then he was thrown into the jail with the other 3 of them. They began questioning the mom, the dad, and the 2 brothers repeatedly, but none of them would disclose to the police where they could find the rest of Abby's body. I don't get this.
Why not?
While in custody, the police had time to look even more into the family, and they found more stuff.
Oh my God.
But wait, there's more.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, what is going on?
I just feel so heartbroken for Abby that she ended up, like, the boy she fell in love with in high school had this, like, just seedy, disgusting, parasitic family.
Yes.
That's all they were. Vultures, you know?
Vultures.
So it turns out Alex had a shady past that Abby had no idea about, or maybe she did, and this is what led to their divorce and her never wanting to talk about it with her friends. From 2012 through 2015, which is pretty much the whole time Alex and Abby were married, Alex was running a con on people.
Oh.
He would meet them online, women or men, through dating sites. He would tell them that he was a gold dealer and making lots of money off of trading gold. And these people would look at his social media and it seemed to back that up because they would see his huge condo, his cars, his lifestyle. He would tell them that I can make you rich too. I've done all of this on my own. Fuck this guy. He would take them to the gold shops and talk them into investing all of their money into buying gold. And he would say, now's a good time to buy it. The gold market's down. You're going to be rich. So buy as much as you possibly can and it will double or triple soon. This is your chance. They would buy a bunch of gold and then they would go back to their house or wherever they came from. And then he would go about seducing them. He would have sex with them, women and men.
Oh.
And then while they were sleeping, he would run off with the gold.
Oh my God. This is wild.
This is a wild story. I can't. Yeah, that's why I really wanted to do this one. Now, gold can't be tracked like cash can, so it was a pretty smart con, and he got away with it for 7+ years.
That's crazy.
But then somebody had gotten smart to him, and there were warrants out for his arrest, but he was hiding and skipping town and doing it in different parts of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's huge. And so he's going to different neighborhoods and different districts, so it hadn't caught up to him yet. But now that he was in jail, they were able to see that he had all these warrants for his arrest. He had made around, I saw varying numbers, either between 800 to 1.1 million US dollars running this scam.
Wow. Okay.
And I think probably Abby found out about it.
Yeah.
And that's why they got divorced. And she's embarrassed.
Yeah.
And she didn't want people thinking badly of the father of her children.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there was a lot there.
Sure.
And not only was Alex doing all of this shit, Anthony had also been struggling despite living off of Abby for years. He had convinced her to help him open up a restaurant. It was like a small pancake stall. And she gave him the funding to open it up.
Of course she did.
But he was a horrible businessman.
And a bad pancake flipper.
And maybe it didn't taste good. I don't know. But the venture failed. And it was on the record that he was now in over $300,000 worth of debt.
Oh, okay.
The other thing about Anthony that I'll bring up is just 2 days before Abby went missing, he posted a picture on his Instagram of the 2 of them together. And he put in the caption, brother, sister, love. At this point, he knew the plan to kill her. And that just tells you what kind of sick individual, I guess, every part of the Kwong family was.
So messed up.
It also came out that Cao Kwong was in massive debt.
Of course. Of course.
So despite all of the generous amounts of money Abby was providing to the family and they had no bills whatsoever, they just all really sucked and had no idea how to manage their finances. And they took that out on her, believing that she should have just continued to cover their broke asses. So yes, the family of parasites is finally arrested. Thank God.
Good.
But even after that, there's going to be more people involved. The police found 3 more people.
Why?
So a total of 7 people have been arrested in the death of Abby Choi. The first arrest was Ying Chi Wing. She was a 47-year-old woman, and turns out she was the mistress of Cao Kong. Because while he's like racking up all this debt and complaining about this, he was also cheating on his wife. Speculation is that she worked at an escorting business and he was actually renting a house on the side for her and him to go have their affair with Abby's money, of course. Like, fuck these people. She was arrested because she helped hide Alex while he was on the run, and she received charges for obstructing justice.
Oh, okay.
On March 2nd, they arrested 41-year-old Henry Lim Shun. He was a friend of Alex Kwong's, and he was the one that was orchestrating Alex's escape plan for $40,000 to secure a speedboat for him to escape. So he was also arrested for just being part of helping Alex.
And where was he going to go?
I don't even know. I'm trying to think where Hong Kong. Like, I guess you could go up to Singapore. You could go over to, I don't know, geography. I don't know where the fuck he was going to go. Mainland China? I'm not real sure. And then finally, they arrested a 3rd woman, and she was just a family friend or perhaps a girlfriend or lover to Alex or Anthony. It was 29-year-old Irene Poon Hyun. She was arrested also for helping to hide Alex. So where it sits today, there have been a total of 9 court hearings in relation to the Abby Choi case since the incident occurred in February of 2023. The 3 murder suspects, Alex, Cao, and Anthony, remain in jail with no bail. They were given no option to get out.
Good.
And they're still awaiting their trial. This case has been escalated many times, and it is now escalated to the highest court in Hong Kong.
Okay.
People expect that they will get quite a harsh sentence, but the trial hasn't happened yet. Their mother, Jenny Lee, she actually was just released on bail in 2024. I think it cost $60,000, but she had already served a year in jail, and she was just there for aiding and abetting Alex.
Right.
She was not part of the murders. I don't think that she even knew it was happening. She was just hiding her son.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because he was doing it with his side piece and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do think she was as innocent as you could be, but she was still leeching off of Abby for years.
Okay.
The other 3 accessories to the crime, the 3 that were arrested after, they were also released out on bail pretty quickly. And their trial is scheduled to actually happen in February of 2025. They didn't have an exact date.
Okay.
So that could be happening right now as you're listening to this episode.
Right.
While in jail, Alex received an additional sentence of 3.5 years for the theft con thing that he was running.
That doesn't seem like enough.
The only reason he got a lighter sentence is because he made restitution and paid back to everyone that he had conned. And that's part of the Hong Kong society.
Yeah.
So he got a lighter sentence, and those people got their money back. So that's
good.
A good thing.
It's probably not something typical to get it back.
Probably not. Most people probably don't have it to give back, but he did.
Yeah.
Friends and family of Abby were absolutely devastated over her senseless death. Mocha, her best friend, spoke out about how much she loved Abby and what a wonderful human being she was. Chris Tam, Abby's husband, with whom she had the 2 children, remembered her as a wife and mother who was attentive, caring for her family, and his soulmate.
Yeah.
He stated right after her death that he would take care of all 4 children, even the Kwongs, because he saw them as his own.
Right.
He seems like a really good guy.
Yeah.
Abby's father-in-law said that he regarded her as a daughter who was not his own, but was the only daughter he had, and he had been doting on her and loved her so much.
Oh.
Abby's mom was heartbroken.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
She was really close to her mom because her mom divorced, and then she was her mom's first child and moved to the new house.
That little bit of life together before all of this big grand stuff happened.
Yeah. So I'm sure they had a very different bond.
Yeah.
She couldn't compose herself when people would try and do interviews with her. She just couldn't. But she did make one statement that is out there. And she said that her daughter used her kindness on the wrong people. And she said the evil Kwongs ate her daughter's heart up.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's so sad.
After her death, thousands of fans and followers on Instagram worldwide offered condolences and left tributes on her Instagram. Many of her followers from mainland China began advocating that the perpetrators deserved the death penalty for murdering Abby. They were disappointed in the fact that death penalty is not applicable in Hong Kong. It is in China for severe crimes, but Hong Kong does not believe in the death penalty. So
the harshest sentence they can get would be life in prison with no parole.
Okay. The family held a ritual to pay respects to Abby on March 11th of 2023. And then they had her funeral service in June of 2023, and everything was covered in pink, which was Abby's favorite color. And I did see images of this. The community at Tai Po, where most of Abby's body was found and recovered, they got together with the family and they performed a Taoist ritual to calm the spirit.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Because it was such a horrific death.
Right.
And her body was ripped apart.
Yes.
There is a thing that they do to bring the spirit back together because this is part of their belief.
Right.
They also do this when a person is murdered somewhere that they're not familiar with.
Right.
They wanted to guide her back. And so they brought the family there so she would see them and they could guide her back to her home and let her know that she is not stuck in that horrible kill house.
Right.
Forever.
Good.
So that is where the case is left today. We will continue to watch it and hope that these 3 horrible men get every single day in prison for the rest of their lives. I am just beside myself that evil of this level exists because
oh my God, yeah.
Not only did they kill this poor sweet soul, but they dismembered her,
mutilated
and
her,
cooked her body parts.
What the hell? Such disrespect. They used her. That's all she was to them, was money. And it's crazy that they used to be friends at 10 years old.
I don't know.
And he was willing to do this to her.
And I feel like he never really loved her because even while they were married, he was just conning her and cheating on her and maybe bringing home STDs. Like he was sleeping with these people. Like that disgusts me.
Yeah.
And the fact that she probably found that out and then continued to take care of him and his family.
Yeah, because it is about probably the respect thing. Like she had a reputation to protect as well.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that was part of it.
In a way, it's a bit of hush money. I don't want any of your dirtiness making me dirty.
Or our kids to have to live with this.
That too.
And I'm sure that was kind of like a blackmail situation, maybe.
In a way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So fuck this family.
Yes.
The Kwongs. Like,
fuck you, Kwongs. Not all Kwongs, just those Kwongs.
Those ones specifically, because you had it made.
You did. You really took advantage of, like, you milked her and then you killed her.
And she
those
was
poor
doing
babies don't have their mom anymore.
Right. She has 4 children that don't have their mom. She has a nonprofit organization, and I'm sure at this point she may have opened even more. Like she was putting good love and light into the world, and these dark, evil souls took that.
Yes, they did.
And it's disgusting.
Absolutely.
So I hope that she has found peace. I hope that the ritual worked and she's moved on to the good energy place.
Again, I just feel bad for those little babies. It's a lot to grow up with and know what happened to your mom.
Fortunately, it sounds like Chris and his family are wonderful human beings as well.
At least they're well taken care of. But then the 2 where Alex is the one that did it to their mom.
They have to deal with that.
Oh my God.
I know.
So messed up. Well, thank you for bringing that story, even though I am really sad about it right now.
The world's a dark place.
It is.
And she was too good for this world. I'll look at it that
young,
way.
They say. Well, rest in peace, Abby. All right, well, mine's not nice either.
I was about to say, are you going to bring us a happy... I mean, we did say we're doing true crime, and it usually involves
I know
horrible things.
I always feel like, disclaimer, I'm like, that's why they're listening.
It's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
It's what we want to research. So we're all dark and twisted.
Well, we are taking that speedboat because it's going to take a really long time to go from China to New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
I'm headed back home with this one. And I feel very connected to this story because I was around the same age and it happened somewhere I had been countless times.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the area when this happened.
Okay.
And this isn't as movie-like as yours. There was a lot going on in yours, but it's just as fucked up.
As most true crime is.
Yes. Where this happened, I had been there at least 2 or 3 times just that summer.
Oh,
so
okay.
When I say I was there, like I was
Very
there.
Close, yeah.
It's a reminder that it can happen to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
More likely girls, but it can happen to anyone. And it certainly lights a fire within me to make sure my daughter, as she grows up, is prepared and aware.
Mm-hmm.
I am covering the rape and murder of Marissa Mathy-Zvaifler.
Okay.
She was an absolutely beautiful, outgoing, adventurous, smart 16-year-old. What happened to her is what nightmares are made of.
Oh, no.
And what was her mother's worst fear.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have happened. Marissa was failed by a lot of people.
Okay.
But what happened to her did result in necessary changes so that it couldn't happen again.
Well, I like when we hear a little, silver lining.
Yep. And her legacy. Marissa was born February 28, 1987 in Santa Fe, New Mexico, to Erica Zweifler and Tony Mathy. She was an only child. They loved her unconditionally and were amazing parents. She was encouraged to become whoever she wanted to be, and she did just that. She had many interests, and if I had known her, we would have definitely been friends.
Okay.
From a young age, Marissa was very creative and compassionate. She was a born athlete. She was involved in softball, basketball, soccer, gymnastics, cheerleading, and dance. She was just good at anything she tried.
I'm jealous of those people.
I know. She wanted to become a fashion designer and a dolphin trainer.
Oh,
Which is amazing, and I think just shows how unique she was.
yeah, definitely.
She traveled a lot with her parents, and before turning 16, she had already been to Italy, England, Mexico, Hawaii, and many other places throughout the U.S.
Lucky.
In high school, she was just as creative. She made her own clothes,
Wow.
even her own prom dress.
That's awesome.
She was outgoing and playful. She was known for her really big smile and contagious laugh. In addition to everything else she liked doing, she found out that she was a born performer.
Okay.
She really could do anything. She started participating in theater productions both in and out of school. She was intrigued with it all: acting, production, directing, filming. In her junior year, with few close friends, they started making short films. And she was definitely one for the screen. She was tall, blonde, she had bright blue eyes. And she really did have this unique smile,
Okay.
like this unique look to her. She would have made it big, honestly.
Oh,
I think she really
Yeah.
stood out. Outside of all of that amazingness, she was involved in good causes. She was not afraid to stand up for what she believed in. She was part of the Gay Straight Alliance Club at Santa Fe High. She facilitated talks on sex ed and AIDS prevention and workshops for other youth.
she was doing a lot for a 16-year-old.
Yes.
Like, I'm impressed.
She was an old soul, but she was still a teenager, and even though she was aware of the dangers of the world, it is difficult to start being wary of others until something happens to you or someone you care about.
Yeah.
Not everyone is to be trusted, though.
No.
Some people have sinister agendas, and unfortunately, she found that out quickly,
Mhm.
and now she's gone.
We have two amazing girls
We
in
do.
our episodes today, and their light is taken out by...
Snuffed out by fucktards.
Yep, exactly.
Fast forward to the night of July 16th, 2003. This is about a month before Marissa was set to start her senior year. She was 16 years old. A Minneapolis-based hip-hop group was in town, and Marissa wanted to see them in concert.
Okay.
This was the group Atmosphere. They formed in 1996, and they've released 13 albums since. Although there have been other past members, it consists of Sean Daly, a.k.a. Slug, and Anthony Davis, or Ant.
Okay.
The show was scheduled for the Sunshine Theater in Albuquerque. That is where you went to see all the cool bands.
Okay.
I've been to it so many times,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in my teenage years when I still lived there,
Yeah.
which included 2003.
Okay.
Even if I didn't know a band, I would go.
Just a cool venue.
Yes. It's a lot like the Ogden
Okay.
here. And I certainly went to concerts that summer. And I was trying to think of my last concert there. And I can't remember, but it might have been either Gavin DeGraw or Breaking Benjamin because I have a wide range in music.
Okay.
But you made me really sad the other day because Gavin DeGraw is a Trumper and it makes me mad.
Yeah. He
I would have never
performed-
guessed.
I know. He performed at the inauguration, and then he also like doubled down and posted something
Yeah,
on
I
social
saw
media about like God bless Trump or some BS.
And then also kissing up to Elon of take us to Mars or something like that.
yeah.
And I'm
Ew.
like, what are you doing? That is not who I thought you were.
I used to like his
Ew.
music too. I
Yeah.
took off anybody who performed. If I had it in my library, they're gone.
It just sucks. I met him when I was a teenager and he
Really?
was the nicest fucking person. It just doesn't align. It doesn't make sense to me.
He's been radicalized somehow.
He has. Anyway, she really wanted to go, but there was one problem.
Mm.
Her mother said no.
Oh my God.
Her
Yeah.
mother, Erica, was not comfortable with 16-year-old Marissa going to Albuquerque as a
Yeah.
teenager alone with friends,
I don't blame her.
especially to a concert where people of all ages would be.
Yes.
Sadly, she had a good reason to feel this way, and she did make the right decision. But as many teenagers do, when they're told no, but they really want to do something, they do it anyway.
We're just lucky that when we did that stuff, we didn't
Seriously.
end up murdered.
Seriously, I've put myself in so many bad situations
Yep. Me too. So many.
with so many bad people.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a TikTok the other day where this girl was like, I used to be friends with the dude who sold drugs and did this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You would never guess I'm just a boring housewife with 2 kids now. And I'm
true.
like, that was me.
Yep.
So she pretended to be spending the night with her friend Chelsea, which was partially true, but they were going to make a night of it. This
Okay.
included her 3 friends, Leah, Kai, and Chelsea. There may have been more kids, but these were the only ones I do know of.
Mm-hmm.
They rented a limo.
Oh, damn.
They dressed up and they headed to Albuquerque for the show.
Okay.
The limo drive was obviously a very fun experience for them, and it's a fond memory for them.
Mm-hmm.
They pretended they were famous. They were waving their hands out the windows, and they blasted Atmosphere and Sublime the whole way down.
Okay.
They get to the theater. They're having a great time. Marissa was singing, laughing, dancing. She was wearing one of her own wild creations,
Okay.
but she was doing something I suggest you do not do at an indoor theater. She was dancing barefoot.
Ew.
Ew and dangerous.
Yeah, there could be like broken glass or
Mhm.
needles, anything.
And that's when things do go sideways. Atmosphere started playing a Rage Against the Machine song,
Okay.
and the crowd got rowdy, and she inadvertently got thrown into the mosh pit.
Oh no, that's one of my worst nightmares.
Yeah, her feet were stepped on, and she stepped on glass.
Oh God.
She got out, and Kai, her friend, took her upstairs to sit down so that they could look at her foot.
Mm-hmm.
It was dark, and he tried finding the injury, but couldn't. He was, trying to check and see if her toes were broken. They could feel some blood, but they couldn't find the source.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really remember why, but they got into a little bit of an argument.
Okay.
And he's like asking her, come back downstairs. He asked her multiple times, but she didn't want to. So he just left her there thinking when she cools off, she'll come back downstairs and join them again. Because the concert was almost over.
Okay.
This was like towards the end of it.
And had the kids been drinking or anything?
I think they had been.
Okay.
But Marissa never rejoined her friends.
Oh no.
From the time Kai left her to when the concert ended, it was only about 15 minutes.
But that's all they needed.
Yes. So the show was over and everyone was ushered outside and they could not find her. They waited outside for an hour with the limo until they had to leave.
Oh my God.
At first they thought maybe she met someone and left with them, but on the ride back, they knew her.
Yeah, and she wouldn't do that.
It didn't sit right with any of them. They knew something was wrong. So when they got back to Chelsea's home, they immediately went to her mom and told her,
Okay.
and
I
that
can't
mom
imagine.
knew too.
Yep.
Something bad happened. She told the kids, prepare yourself for the worst. And then they had to call Marissa's mother.
Oh my God.
You can imagine her mother's shock at getting
she didn't
that call.
know. Yeah.
Marissa went to the concert despite her mother's wishes, and now she's missing.
There's no words for how a parent would feel.
Her friends went back to Albuquerque the next morning and started handing out flyers near the theater, just trying to find anyone who might have seen her.
Mm-hmm.
They had no luck. Marissa's parents held out hope that maybe she did just end up partying with someone. But after receiving no calls the next day into the morning, their worry turned to absolute panic.
Yeah.
To not call was not like her.
Right.
Neither was partying and not coming home.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't want to think the worst. So the next thing they could think of is that maybe she's being held somewhere against her will.
Okay.
They just wanted to find her. And they didn't want to just rely on the cops. So her father that day hired a private investigator
Okay.
to go
That's
ask
cool.
his own questions.
Right.
They couldn't just sit there and wait for the cops.
No, I'd go crazy.
And they knew that time was of the essence.
Always. 48 hours.
Yep. But sadly, it wouldn't end in happy tears. On the third day, her body was discovered.
Yeah.
She never left the theater.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. After her friend left her upstairs, she was approached by someone who worked at the theater.
Oh.
This man, Dominic Akers, pretended to be a security guard and said that he could help her with first aid.
Oh no.
She agreed, and he took her somewhere else on the 3rd floor. This is a multi-story building.
Okay.
But following him and trusting him in that moment cost her her life.
Oh my God.
He was a big guy, though. He was tall. He was 380 pounds.
Oh my God.
I can see her believing that he was a security guard.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a black shirt that said staff.
Okay.
Why wouldn't she believe him?
Yeah. I don't know that I would have made a different choice, especially if your foot is hurt.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even following him to another floor, her stranger danger didn't kick in
Yeah.
time. I'll go into some more detail about their encounter, but first let's meet this scum of the earth because he really is.
Yes.
And this is where we get really mad.
Always.
At the time, Dominic was 22 years old. He did work at the theater, but not as a security guard. He was the janitor.
Mm.
And this is a case where all of the red flags were there about this guy.
Oh, shit. He had a background.
But he slipped through the system.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was only 22, Dominic was a registered sex offender.
What?
On probation. At the time, there were no laws in place requiring the theater to have looked into his past.
Okay.
Or requiring him to tell them about his past.
Right.
That has changed, but that is just one of the ways so many people failed Marissa.
Okay.
Dominic absolutely should not have been out on the streets at all.
No.
He was living at a halfway house called Second Chance.
Oh my God. He was even in a halfway house, so they knew.
It was a halfway house for sex offenders.
Oh my God.
He was living there with 16 other sex offenders at the time, which just sends shivers down my spine that all those guys live together.
And can like plot and such, feed off of each other.
But he really, really should have been in jail. The year before, he was sentenced to 33 years in prison.
What?
For a horrific crime. The rape and repeated sexual assault of a 3-year-old.
Oh my God.
And not just any 3-year-old, but a family member.
Why is this guy allowed to ever leave?
In March of 2002, he pled guilty to 3 counts of second-degree criminal sexual penetration and 1 count each of third-degree criminal sexual contact of a minor and bribery of a witness.
I can't even think about that with a 3-year-old.
No, that is damage for life. That poor baby.
It's just another dark, evil soul walking around this earth, this man. Ooh.
Yes. Well, the sentence was delayed pending inpatient care at a mental hospital. And the result of that, he was seen as mentally insane. And they first wanted him to be admitted to the state mental hospital where they thought he could be rehabilitated enough to go into general prison or whatever.
Okay.
But there were no available spots at the time. So instead of putting him in prison, they let him live at this halfway house.
Oh my God.
And while there with his good behavior, his sentence was reduced to 5 years probation.
That is so fucked up.
He raped
3-year-old.
a 3-year-old.
This man is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous.
Like, how does 33 years in prison go to probation?
And we have other people sitting in prison rotting for like marijuana
charges. Yeah.
What the fuck?
And what he did, it was public information. But when it's not required to look into somebody's past, they're not going to, especially for a janitor position.
No.
But what pisses me off is that his probation officer at the time not only knew that he was working at the Sunshine Theater, he's the one that helped him get the job.
What?
Knowing that that's where tons of teenagers frequent.
That's horrible.
I don't know what the thought process is there, honestly. It seems like he had a lot of people fooled. His probation officer didn't consider him to be that dangerous, apparently. He was attending all the classes he was supposed to. He was registered. He just wanted to work. And the judge, in receiving recommendations from a psychiatrist, also believed that he could be rehabilitated. And the public defender who represented him in that case also believed that he could be rehabilitated.
So he's just really good at coming across.
I guess. They couldn't have been more wrong, though. And I don't see how you can look at a man who raped a 3-year-old girl as anything but evil.
Exactly. However, do you get to the point that this is a person that can be rehabilitated?
There's no rehabilitation for that.
That's a sick individual that needs to be in a mental hospital or prison.
Because it wasn't just one time.
It was repeatedly.
They only found Marissa because Dominic's own father turned him in.
Oh, okay.
3 days after the event, Dominic confessed to his father, Frank, what he had done.
Okay.
And Frank went straight to the cops.
Good Frank.
He actually flagged down an officer on the street.
Damn, that's good. Yeah.
And he made Dominic turn himself in.
Good.
Dominic did not deny anything. He immediately confessed.
Wow.
The cops had searched the theater before, but no one thought that she was actually still in the theater. They thought that someone took her from there and that she was somewhere else. But once they had him in custody, they went back and they did find Marissa's body. It turns out that Dominic lied to Marissa about a couple of things. He was the janitor, not a security guard, but he actually wasn't even working that night.
Oh.
He works earlier in the day. He cleans before shows start. So what he did is he just stayed around.
And wore the shirt.
Yeah, he still had the shirt on. He says it was to watch the show, but my guess is to prey on people. He convinced her to go with him by saying that after he helped her with her foot, that he could get her backstage to meet the band.
Oh,
specifically Slug. Marissa had a huge crush on Slug.
Okay.
Starry-eyed Marissa, you know, she wanted that so bad, so she followed him.
We don't think about how evil people can be at that age. We're very naive.
I know. It's like, you know, it's out there. You do. You hear the stories. Even when I was a teenager, I knew bad things happened. I knew bad things happened to women, but it was never discussed directly with me.
Yeah.
By anybody, really.
Same. And like, you don't assume this nice person's going to be. You watch movies and it's like this really creepy looking guy and you think that's what's going to come after you in a dark alley, but it's this. It's somebody seeming nice.
Or someone you know.
Yeah, a lot of times.
When he got her upstairs, he took her to the projection room. This is so fucked up, but he claimed that they were having consensual sex.
In his mind.
And he only lost it when she broke away from him and tried to run.
Because it wasn't consensual, dude?
This is a 380-pound strange man.
Oh my God.
And she is a 16-year-old girl. I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything about weight here, but of course no one believes that.
No.
And if you see a picture of this guy, he is gross and creepy.
Yeah.
There's no way that 16-year-old Marissa was interested in him. There's just no way.
She didn't have that much to drink.
But he ran with that story.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely absurd. So I'm going to call it what it is. He's a fucking rapist.
Yes.
Anyway, when she tried to break away, this made him very angry. So he choked her until she was unconscious.
Oh.
And he waited there. And when she came to and realized where she was, she started screaming and he choked her again until she died.
Oh.
The room that they were in wasn't one that other employees went into often.
Okay.
But he still knew that he needed to move her. So when he came back to work the next day for his 10 a.m. shift, he moved her into another room on the second floor, somewhere he knew where she wouldn't be found, at least for a long time. I don't know if his plan was to eventually move her again.
Right.
But this was a storage room and he put her behind a false wall and then covered it with a Coke candy machine.
Oh yeah, people would not have found her. I mean, they probably would have started smelling something.
That's what it would have been. So when they found her, Marissa was completely naked except for her tank top, which was wrapped around her neck.
Oh my God.
And my heart just breaks for her because you can picture the whole night and how scared she must have been.
She went from having like the time of her life in the limo with her friends to just absolute horror with this creepy dude doing horrible things to her.
And such a big guy. She had no way
She can't fight back. Yeah.
And what's sad about this is Marissa had actually planned to participate in a 20-hour women's self-defense class that fall. Like she was signed up for it. And I just wish she had had the chance to have done that.
Right.
But obviously none of this is her fault whatsoever.
Ever.
And she shouldn't have to take classes like that.
No, all of us should be able to exist in this world without constant fear of someone hurting us.
Yes. And he should have never been on the street at all.
No, they failed us. The system did.
He should have never been able to get the job either.
No.
That's why her murder was 100% preventable.
Yes.
If the people in charge of having anything to do with him made sure he wasn't around children.
Right.
All they had to do was do their job and she would be alive. Dominic was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and aggravated battery. Awaiting trial, he had a $1 million bond, which no one was going to pay for. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 37 years for her murder and an additional 33 years for violating his probation because you're not supposed to kill people when you're on probation.
Yeah, you're not. Or ever.
Or ever. So with that kind of sentence, you'd hope he would never see the light of day again.
Oh, don't tell me he's out again.
He is not. He is not. But
I was like, I'm going to jump through the roof.
I just don't understand at all why people like this can become eligible for parole because he will be able to be eligible for parole. He will be in his 80s, but still, I mean,
he's still dangerous.
I don't even know why it's an option.
No.
Parole is not an option for a person like this.
That did it. He confessed to it.
And before that, it was a 3-year-old.
I know. Like, why the fuck are we ever going to give this person another chance? Like, I don't believe in rehabilitation for someone like this. It's not happening. I don't care if they're 95. Leave them in there.
Chances are he won't live that long. I think today he's 43 or 44, but who knows? Her death was tragic and it affected so many people.
Yeah.
She had a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Her friends and family were just never the same after that. Her father said that she was the most beautiful, wonderful girl. She was the light of my life, and you don't raise someone until they're 16 to lose them.
No.
So sad. Her mother was beside herself, but she knew that she needed to take action to make sure that this never happens again.
I love when parents become advocates and find ways to help others in the future.
Yes. Her friends were amazing, and in honor of her, they took that defense course and graduated.
Yeah.
And it was the exact same one that she was going to do. And it was really difficult, because they were learning things that they wish she had, but they were also putting themselves kind of in these roles, knowing that she was experiencing that, but the real violence of it. And they just wished that she had known something that could have saved her, because a lot of the defense that we learn as women, it's not about strength. It's about pinpoints and different things, and maybe because she could have run.
That's all it's about with self-defense. It's just getting them off guard enough that you can get away.
Yep. But this got everyone talking, because for the first time, assault and rape was like in the forefront, and that it needed to be talked about, and that kids needed the information so that they could be prepared.
Yes.
Because like I said, I was never talked to about rape or like, what do I do in that situation? Like, you're given sex ed class, but
that's not done well either.
I know.
And I feel like they need to talk more about like date rape and everything like that, because most of my friends that were assaulted, it was done that way.
Yes.
And we didn't get that education. I hope they do now, but back then we didn't.
I don't know. I know that there's definitely an effort, at least in Santa Fe, where she's from, after this.
Yeah.
Her story did make national headlines. The public was outraged that this man slipped through the cracks and that this was allowed to happen. Her parents and friends worked hard to make changes at the state level. They vowed that she would be celebrated and that her death was not going to be in vain. They pressured local politicians to look at the laws and see how this happened. And it turns out that at the time, New Mexico had the most lenient in the country when it came to punishing sexual assault offenders.
Wow.
So much so that when pedophiles get in trouble in other states, like their lawyers were telling them, go to New Mexico.
That's messed up. It was like the haven for sex offenders.
You won't be in trouble as much over there.
And what kind of lawyer is doing that?
I know.
When you know that your client is guilty, probably.
Through their efforts, they passed two important bills in New Mexico. The first was Marissa's Sunshine Law, which required that sexual offenders on probation must notify potential and current employers of their charges and status as a sex offender. The second was Marissa's Law, which reformed laws dealing with sex offenders, including mandatory minimum prison time, as well as increased treatment and parole sentences that could last up to 20 years.
Good.
They also put together a sex offender management board, which was dedicated to making educated policy decisions to fill in every crack to make sure that no one can find their way through it again. And their goal is just to become, instead of the most lenient,
the most stringent.
Right, exactly. And be an example to the rest of the U.S.
Good. We need more of that everywhere.
Yes.
Protect our children.
A fund called the Marissa Scholarship Fund was created to assure that all young women in Santa Fe had access to the same defense course her friends took.
Good.
Hoping that along with the new bills in place, they had the skills and tools to save their own lives if they ever found themselves in that type of confrontation. Just another reason Marissa was such a beautiful, unique person. Just a few weeks before she was killed, she participated in a summer camp called Seeds.
Okay.
It stands for self-esteem, empowerment, and education through dance.
Oh, cool.
She learned to belly dance.
Very cool.
She loved it and planned to attend another 2-week after-school youth mentorship program connected to Seeds, and it met 3 days a week. And again, in honor of her friends took it.
Oh.
The program is to help young girls turn into strong, capable women. Other than dance, it's a safe haven for girls to get together and support each other and channel their emotions into safe, healthy activities like dancing and journal writing. They also taught them life skills like goal setting, women's health, sexual education, and financial independence. And I don't know if this is the same program. It actually sounds exactly like it, but there's another one in Oregon now.
Okay.
And it's called Marissa's Mission, and it is based on her story.
Oh, wow.
And it is still functioning, and it's open for both girls and boys, and they offer all the same things.
That's awesome.
To further education on the matter, her friends teamed up with Girls Film School to produce a documentary about Marissa and what happened. It's called Educating Marissa.
Okay.
It was made to raise awareness about the circumstances of her death and the importance of safety measures. I did find this. I'll link it in the show notes. And it was interesting to watch. It just took me back to high school because I'm like looking at the video and I'm like, I was that age.
Right.
Well, I was a year older than her, but you know, same time, and just seeing everyone back then, and you got to see her friends and her parents and just how affected they were by her being gone. And
of course.
And seeing her sweet dog who was still waiting for her.
Oh, that always breaks my heart. Animals don't understand.
They don't. Her friend Kai, the one that was the last to be with her because of what happened, he actually went on to be an investigative journalist and reporter in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
What happened to Marissa touched a lot of lives, and what everyone did to change the laws there has undoubtedly saved many lives.
For sure.
And so that is her legacy.
Yeah.
That really is.
It's sad that she had to pay the price for those laws to get changed.
I know.
But like I said, it's the one silver lining, and hopefully saved many other people's daughters from these crazy, creepy dudes that are out there.
I know. I mean, just the one about work. It's a simple law.
Yeah, that's really easy. Like, criminal background check is supposed to be done for every position. I thought. I didn't know that wasn't at the federal level.
I think it depends on the position, first of all. Like, this obviously is a venue where there are minors.
Right.
So I would think places like that, it absolutely should be required. But in this documentary, I got to watch a little bit about this benefit concert. Her mother put this on in Marissa's name, and all her friends and family were there and read poems and other things. And Atmosphere came to perform.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very healing event for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It was really awesome of this rap duo to do the show to help raise money for the causes that arose from her untimely, tragic end. But her murder at their concert really hit them hard.
I bet like that would be hard for them to think about. Like, that was happening while they were performing.
They still think about her. You know, she just wanted to see them in concert. She just wanted to meet them.
And that's how that guy got her to go with him, is by saying she was going to meet this guy that she had a crush on.
So it's kind of bittersweet that her friends and family got to have this like up close experience with them when that was the last thing that she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not how you're supposed to look at it, but it is a little bit bittersweet in that sense. And Atmosphere wrote a song about that night, and we're actually going to close out the show with that. And as different as Kendra and my stories were today, they're both similar in the fact that stop taking advantage of young women.
Mm-hmm. Women are the target, always.
It's just men not getting what they want, and so they take it.
I know. And it's scary how easy it is for them too, because she had no chance with him. He was so much larger than her. And even a man that's not that much bigger than us, like, they just are able to, they have more strength. Like, it's very hard to overtake a guy. As a woman.
It is.
It's not fair. And for whatever reason, there is a high percentage of men that want to hurt us.
And now they're not afraid to say it either right now, which is scary.
Yes, we have a rapist as our president. That's supposed to be like the moral beacon of the country, right? Like, that's supposed to be our highest honor in this country. And we have a convicted rapist.
Yep.
Why would men think they can't get away with whatever they want?
Of course.
Well, sorry for this very not uplifting.
No,
it's a downlifting episode, but it's stories that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, and just to talk again about Marissa, she lives on in so many ways today, and so does Abby.
Mm-hmm.
They're gorgeous. They both lived life to the fullest.
They did.
And they were kind, and everyone that knew them saw them that way and knew them that way and aspired to be like them. Our hearts go out to both of their families.
Yes.
Especially to Abby's children.
I know.
I don't know. I can't stop thinking about that. But we're going to close this up. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys like that, bringing 2 in one episode might be a cool little change every now and then. If you have any suggestions or stories of your own, please send those to lucidlabpodcast@gmail.com.
And you can find us in between our episodes on social media. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Lucid Lab Podcast, one word.
Yes.
And we will be back next Tuesday with another episode, which will not be uplifting either. It's another true crime.
We're sorry.
Yes.
And going to close it out. Here is the song written in honor of Marissa by Atmosphere. It is called That Night. It is on one of their albums, but you will never hear them do it live because to this day, it is too difficult for them to revisit.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think one of them said that song scares the shit out of me. So stay lucid, guys. We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Even know if I can write this song. Caught on a beam between right and wrong. Gotta keep forward, keep straight for the sake of why we stay awake all night long. It's not up for interpret, paranoid of exploiting the verdict. But in the same breath, I got thoughts that I wanna express and let surface. This ain't for props or the pop culture. It's about a balloon that got punctured. The sunshine's fun till it burns someone, and we all got burnt that summer. She was 16, another young angel with clipped wings. She came to the shows, but I never met her. Don't even know if she was listening. That night, we lost a supporter. That night, somebody lost a daughter. He raped and killed her at the venue. Can't comprehend what her friends must have went through. That night, the sun went dark. Now watch everyone on the tour bus fall apart. That night, Lord have mercy, the music died that night in Albuquerque. Can't be true, right? This type of real doesn't happen to you, right? Crescent, Merce, Dibs, Jaybird. I wanna go home now and start a new life. Wish I could protect the kids. Guess safety is hit or miss. With a prior convicted sex offense against a 4-year-old, why we let you live? Don't know what I'm trying to write. There's a part of me that keeps dying at night. When I think about a mother, I become another number that wants you to suffer. You're locked up for now, you have no more chances to steal the children's laughs. And if you ever find God, better pray to her and ask that we never cross paths.